Dear friends, good afternoon. I have decided to make a video covering a few minor mosques here in Istanbul. By minor mosques, I mean mosques other than the large imperial mosques commissioned by the Ottoman sultans and that are the main tourist attraction of this beautiful city. I still don't know how many I will visit. Minimum 2, but maybe more. My idea is to search for some hidden gems, hoping to encourage the average tourist who watches this video to adventure off the beaten path. The first mosque I will be visiting is right across from where I am staying. It would be foolish for me not to go see it. I am talking about the Kilish Ali Pasha Mosque, located in the Tafane neighborhood of the Beyoğlu district. Situated directly in front of the mosque, the fountain acts as a welcoming feature for visitors and worshippers, providing a serene atmosphere that enhances the overall ambiance of the mosque complex. The fountain is primarily used for ablution, which is the ritual washing performed by Muslims before prayer. It allows worshippers to cleanse themselves before entering the mosque. In addition to its practical function, the fountain represents an essential aspect of Islamic culture, emphasizing the importance of cleanliness and purification in religious practices. The mosque was commissioned by the Grand Admiral Kilish Ali Pasha, known in the West as Oki Ali, between 1578 and 1580. The architect was Mimar Sinan, the greatest Ottoman architect of all times. A few words must be said about Oki Ali. His original name was Giovanni Gallini and was born in the southern Italian village of La Castella in the region of Calabria. When he was 17, he was captured by the Ottoman corsairs and forced to work as an oar slave. After a few years, he converted to Islam and became himself a corsair. He soon gained reputation as one of the bravest corsairs of the Barbary coast and soon caught the attention of the Ottoman Navy admirals and the Sultan himself. For his successes in battle, he was awarded the governorships of the island of Samos, Alexandria, Tripoli, and finally Algiers. At the end, in 1571, he was appointed Grand Admiral of the Ottoman Navy. From the inner side of the outer wall hails a portico, sustained by a row of thin columns with many taps for the ritual ablutions. The courtyard contains a marble fountain with 8 columns and a dome. The outer porch has a sloping roof supported by 12 columns on the west facade and 3 at each end, all with rhombus-shaped capitals. In the center, a marble portal leads into the mosque. The central dome measures 12.7 meters in diameter and is sustained by 4 pendentives resting on rounded granite piers. It is flanked by 2 semidomes placed on the Qibla axis. The design is quite similar, in a much smaller scale to that of Hagia Sophia. The mihrab is in a square projecting apse. The tiles that decorate the apse are absolutely marvelous. They are from the city of Iznik, which was once known as Nicaea, and where the famous church council was held in 325. The tile panels placed high up in the prayer hall are inscribed with ayats from the Quran. The mosque is at the heart of a complex that includes also a center of Islamic teaching, a Turkish bath, a mausoleum, and a fountain that I already showed. What you see here is the Turkish bath known also as hammam. Hammams were and still are an integral part in Islamic cultures, not only in Turkey but throughout the entire Middle East. It provided hygiene when houses didn't have running water, but also played a religious role providing ablutions. In a modern hammam, visitors undress themselves and, wearing only a loincloth, proceed into rooms that are progressively hotter, inducing perspiration. They are then washed by male or female staff using soap and vigorously rubbing the body before washing themselves with warm water. Unlike baths in other civilizations, there are no pools and the washing is done with running water instead of by immersion. This building instead houses the Islamic school or madrasa. It's now the following morning and I am heading now to the following destination. I am now in the Fatih district in a neighborhood called Izmir. This area is one of the most conservative in Istanbul. This is a typical Ottoman wooden house that dates back to the 19th century. These houses are beautiful, but many of them unfortunately have fallen into disrepair. They are characterized by an intricate structure and the great presence of bay windows. The road to get to my next destination is so steep, not easy for someone who is overweight. I have almost arrived, and I must say that this neighborhood is lovely. The hustle and bustle of a megalopolis like Istanbul is totally absent. It's like being in the countryside. And here is the place I am going to visit and cover in my video. Formerly Church of St. Saviour in Kora, the Kari Mosque is renowned worldwide for its well-preserved mosaics and frescoes dating back to the Byzantine era. The Greek word Kora means literally in the fields or in the countryside. The reason why it was called that way is because it was located outside the walls built by Emperor Constantine. Every mosque that I have seen here has a fountain outside. The Kyrie Mosque is no exception. It was originally built in the early 4th century as part of a monastery complex. Centuries later, in the 11th century, the church underwent a grand transformation, emerging as a majestic structure built following the cross and square plan, typical of the late-period Byzantine churches. Its true artistic pinnacle, though, arrived in the 14th century thanks to Theodore Metochites, who was a statesman and a devout Christian. Under his patronage, Chora was adorned with a stunning array of mosaics and frescoes. These intricate artworks, covering nearly every inch of the interior, narrate stories from the Bible and the life of Christ. Renowned for their vibrant colors, expressive figures, and masterful technique, these masterpieces represent a pinnacle of late Byzantine art. They stand as testaments to the theological debates and artistic innovations of the era, offering visitors a unique glimpse into the Byzantine world. What you see here is an anastasis, a depiction of Jesus pulling Adam and Eve out of their tombs after having broken down the gates of hell. Much closer to the ground, in a position hierarchically much lower than that of Jesus, we see the beautiful elongated figures of several saints, almost as if they were the intermediaries between us and the divinity. This depiction of the Virgin Mary with the child is so beautiful. This, I believe, is Saint George, who was actually from Turkey. And these are probably some of the donors. At the center of this dome, we have the Virgin Mary with the child, flanked by angels. In this painting, the Virgin Mary with her hands addressing Jesus shows humanity the right way. In this dome, in the central medallion, we have Jesus Pantocrator, Jesus ruler of all. Other than Jesus, we see depicted the ancestors of Jesus Christ in 2 rows. In the upper row, we start with Adam all the way until Jacob. Their names are all inscribed, one by one. This dome depicts Mary at the center and the genealogy of Jesus flanking her. I am now entering the naos, that is to say the main body of the church, which has now been turned into the prayer room of the mosque. You can notice that the mihrab isn't at the center of the apsis. Churches aren't usually built facing Mecca. This is the central dome that measures 7.7 meters in diameter. Like the rest of the naos, it has no decorations. It is very simple and barren.